For a decade, I thought I was living my best life. I didn't know I was married to a ghost.
Welcome to Shishi Fairy Tales. Lucy Miller met Thomas Reed on a quiet afternoon in London. He was calm, well-dressed, and spoke softly. He listened more than he talked. When he said he worked in private investments, Lucy did not ask questions. She had learned that rich men often valued silence. Their relationship moved quickly but gently. Thomas never rushed her, yet everything seemed to fall into place. He sent flowers without notes, paid attention to small details, and remembered things Lucy forgot about herself. When he proposed, it was simple. No crowd. No ring presentation. Just a promise of safety and forever. They married within 6 months. The wedding was small and elegant. Thomas insisted on privacy. Lucy agreed, thinking it was part of loving a billionaire. Cameras were not allowed. Guests were few. The day felt peaceful, almost unreal, like a dream kept from the world. Marriage with Thomas was comfortable. Lucy never worried about money. Bills were handled. Homes appeared in cities she loved. Travel was smooth and quiet. Thomas preferred nights to days and avoided attention. Lucy found this charming. She liked being protected from noise. Thomas was affectionate in gentle ways. He held her hand, stood close, and spoke kindly. He did not argue or raise his voice. He did not drink or smoke. He slept lightly and woke early. Lucy believed she had married a disciplined man. Friends often asked questions. They joked that Thomas was invisible. Lucy laughed and defended him. She said wealth created strange habits. She said love did not need explanations. Years passed. Lucy settled into routine. She worked part-time, volunteered, and hosted small dinners. Thomas attended sometimes, always polite, always distant. He never stayed long. Lucy never doubted him. She trusted his calm. She trusted the quiet life they built together. If something felt unusual, she brushed it aside. Happiness, she believed, did not come loudly. For 10 years, Lucy slept beside a billionaire who gave her everything she needed. She believed she understood her marriage. And she never imagined that one night would change the meaning of every memory she held. Lucy learned how to live around Thomas's habits. He preferred dim lights. He disliked loud music. He never answered personal questions in public. At first, Lucy found these things charming. Later, they simply became normal. Thomas left the house every evening at the same hour. He always said he had meetings that required privacy. He never invited her along. Lucy never asked. She believed trust was proven by silence, not questions. Their home felt full, even when Thomas was not there. Fresh flowers appeared weekly. Groceries arrived before Lucy remembered to order them. When something broke, it was repaired without calls. Thomas said he had assistants who handled details. Lucy accepted this easily. Sometimes, Thomas returned very late. He would stand quietly by the window before coming to bed. Lucy pretended to be asleep, not because she was afraid, but because she liked the feeling of being watched over. She felt safe. Thomas rarely touched food. He poured wine but did not drink much. When Lucy cooked, he praised her effort and kissed her forehead. He said he preferred simplicity. Lucy believed him. On weekends, Lucy noticed he avoided sunlight. Curtains stayed closed until evening. If she suggested a daytime outing, Thomas smiled and promised another time. She laughed and said he was mysterious. He laughed too, softly. Friends continued to joke. "Does your husband really exist?" they asked. Lucy showed them expensive gifts and signed documents. Proof, she thought, was enough. Lucy never noticed how few photographs included Thomas. She never noticed that mirrors reflected only her figure. These details passed her quietly, like background noise in a peaceful room. For 10 years, Lucy's life flowed gently. She felt chosen, protected, and lucky. She told herself that love did not need to be loud to be real, and so she continued living beside a man she trusted completely, unaware that comfort can sometimes hide the most patient secrets. The quiet days stacked gently upon each other, forming a life so smooth that Lucy never thought to question what silence was slowly protecting from her all this time. Lucy noticed the seasons more than the years. Time passed softly in Thomas's presence, marked by small rituals instead of dates. Every evening, he checked the locks twice. Every morning, he left a note wishing her a good day, written in the same careful handwriting. Lucy kept the notes in a drawer. She told herself it was sentimental, not strange. One afternoon, while cleaning the study, she found old financial papers signed by Thomas. The dates stretched far back, long before they met. The ink looked fresh, untouched by age. Lucy frowned briefly, then blamed good storage and moved on. Thomas avoided doctors. When Lucy suggested routine checkups, he smiled and said he felt fine. He never caught colds. He never complained of pain. Lucy admired his discipline. At night, Thomas slept lightly. Sometimes Lucy woke and found him standing near the window, staring outside as if listening. When she asked what he was doing, he said he was thinking. Lucy liked that answer. It made him seem deep. They never argued. Disagreements faded before forming. Lucy believed this was proof of compatibility. Friends said every marriage had conflict. Lucy smiled and said theirs was different. On their 11th year together, Lucy suggested renewing their vows. Thomas paused longer than usual before agreeing. "Let's keep it simple," he said. "No guests. No pictures." Lucy agreed without hesitation. Planning felt strange. Vendors asked questions Thomas never answered directly. He paid deposits through intermediaries. He never met anyone in person. Lucy handled most of it herself and felt oddly alone, though she was married. One evening, she asked Thomas about his childhood. He spoke briefly, choosing words carefully. He mentioned places that no longer existed and people whose names Lucy could not find online. She laughed it off, saying the past often disappeared. Later that night, Lucy stood before the mirror brushing her hair. She glanced up and froze. For a moment, she thought the light had failed her. She was alone in the reflection. Then Thomas's voice came from behind her, gentle, asking if she was ready for bed. Lucy slept poorly after that night. Not because she was afraid, but because her thoughts refused to settle. The mirror moment replayed itself again and again in her mind. Each time, she found a new excuse. Bad lighting. Tired eyes. Imagination. Thomas noticed her restlessness. "You're thinking too much," he said gently one morning, straightening his cuff. "You always do that when life is quiet." Lucy smiled and agreed. She trusted him. She always had. Still, small things began to stand out. When Lucy mentioned the mirror, Thomas suggested replacing it. A new one arrived the next day, wrapped carefully, installed before sunset. Lucy thanked him and told herself that attentive husbands existed. Lucy began keeping busy. She volunteered more. She invited friends over. Thomas always excused himself before guests arrived. He said crowds drained him. Lucy defended him easily. "Not everyone enjoys noise," she told people. One afternoon, Lucy's friend Sarah stayed late. As dusk fell, Sarah asked casually, "Does Thomas work nights?" Lucy paused. "Sometimes." Sarah laughed softly. "I've never seen him during the day. That's all." Lucy forced a smile. "He values privacy." That night, Lucy asked Thomas directly if something was wrong. He looked at her for a long moment. "Would you tell me if something was?" he asked. "Yes," Lucy said without hesitation. "Then trust that I would do the same," he replied. His calmness wrapped around her like a blanket. Lucy apologized for doubting him. Thomas kissed her forehead, lingering longer than usual. Later, Lucy heard movement in the hallway. She opened her eyes and saw Thomas standing near the bedroom door, watching her. His expression was unreadable, almost distant. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked. "I wanted to be sure you were safe," he said. Lucy nodded and turned over. She did not see him leave. By morning, the house felt normal again. But Lucy noticed something new, something subtle. The air in the room felt colder, even though the heater hummed softly. And for the first time in 10 years, Lucy wondered, not feared, but wondered what she truly knew about the man she loved. Lucy began paying attention without meaning to. Not searching. Just noticing. Thomas's routines never changed. He arrived after sunset. He left before dawn. He never rushed. He never lingered where light was strongest. Lucy told herself many wealthy men lived strangely. Privacy was a luxury too. Still, she started waking earlier, hoping to catch him in the morning. Each time, his side of the bed was cool. The notes remained, always written neatly, always encouraging. "Have a good day. I'll see you tonight." She smiled at them, even as questions quietly formed. One afternoon, Lucy tried to schedule a medical appointment for Thomas without telling him. The clinic asked for identification details. When she gave his name, there was a pause. "I'm sorry," the receptionist said carefully. "Could you confirm his date of birth?" Lucy gave it confidently. Another pause. "We don't have a record under that name." Lucy laughed it off, blaming system errors. She ended the call and felt foolish for even trying. That evening, Thomas noticed her distraction. "You've been quiet," he said. "Just tired," Lucy replied. He studied her face closely, as if measuring something invisible. "Rest more," he said softly. "The mind creates noise when it's overworked." Lucy nodded. She wanted to believe him. Days later, Lucy attended a charity event alone. A historian gave a speech about the city's founders. Old photographs filled the screen behind him. Lucy watched politely until one image made her heart stumble. A group of men stood beside a newly built estate. Their clothes were outdated. Their faces stern. And among them was a man who looked exactly like Thomas. Same eyes. Same posture. Same calm expression. Lucy leaned forward, breath caught. The historian continued speaking, mentioning dates from nearly a century ago. Lucy blinked hard. When she looked again, the image had changed. She told herself faces repeated across generations. She told herself resemblance meant nothing. That night, Lucy asked Thomas about the event. He listened quietly, then smiled. "History likes to play tricks," he said. "People see what they're ready to see." Lucy accepted the answer, even as her heart beat faster. She did not yet believe anything was wrong, but something inside her had begun to wake up. Lucy could not deny one thing: Thomas lived like a billionaire, even if he lived like a shadow. Money was never discussed, yet it was always there. Bills were paid before they arrived. Investments grew quietly. Properties appeared in their portfolio without explanation. When Lucy once asked how a deal was closed so fast, Thomas only smiled. "Time works differently when you're patient," he said. She laughed then. Now, the words felt heavier. One morning, Lucy decided to surprise him. She drove to the city office to check on a property registered in his name. The clerk typed quickly, frowned, then typed again. "This property," the woman said slowly, "has been under this ownership for a very long time." "How long?" Lucy asked. The clerk hesitated. "Before digital records. We only keep scanned copies." Lucy leaned closer. On the screen was a document dated decades ago. The signature at the bottom read Thomas Hale, her husband's name. Same handwriting as the notes he left every morning. Lucy's chest tightened. "That must be a mistake," she said quickly. "Maybe his father?" The clerk nodded politely. "Could be." Lucy left before more questions could form. That night, she watched Thomas carefully. He moved with calm confidence, like a man who had already seen every version of tomorrow. When she talked about the future, retirement, aging, growing old together, he listened, but never added details. "You don't worry about getting older?" she asked once. Thomas paused. "Age is a habit," he said gently. "Some people never learn it." Lucy laughed, but her laughter sounded thin. Later, she noticed something else. Old photographs around the house never included him clearly. He was always slightly blurred, turned away, or standing in shadow. In framed family photos, his space was there, but his image felt unfinished. One evening, Lucy cut her finger while cooking. Thomas reacted instantly. He was beside her before she even spoke, wrapping her hand with practiced precision. "You've done this before," she said lightly. "Yes," he replied. "Many times." She looked at him. "For who?" "For people I loved," he said, without hesitation. That night, Lucy lay awake, listening to his steady breathing. She loved this man. He was kind. He was generous. He was present in every way that mattered. Yet something about him felt untouched by time. Lucy did not yet think the word ghost, but she was beginning to understand that her billionaire husband had secrets money could not explain. Lucy stopped asking questions out loud. Instead, she started observing. She noticed that Thomas never slept deeply. He rested, eyes closed, breathing steady, but he never turned, never snored, never reached for her in his sleep. When Lucy woke suddenly at night, he was always already awake, staring at the ceiling as if counting something invisible. Time, maybe. He never got sick. Not once in 10 years. No fever. No cold. No headache. When Lucy caught the flu and lay weak on the couch, Thomas cared for her with quiet devotion. He cooked, cleaned, and stayed by her side for days without showing a hint of tiredness. "You should rest," she told him hoarsely. "I don't need much," he replied. That answer followed her for weeks. Lucy also noticed something strange about his routine. Thomas never appeared in public records that involved recent photos. Awards were accepted through representatives. Business meetings were held online or behind closed doors. When journalists requested interviews, he declined politely. "I value privacy," he always said. One afternoon, Lucy attended a charity gala alone. A wealthy older man approached her. Smiling warmly, "You're Thomas Hale's wife," he said. "Yes," Lucy replied. The man's smile faltered. "Interesting. Why?" she asked. He studied her face. "I met a man just like your husband. A long time ago." Lucy's heart skipped. "How long?" The man chuckled nervously. "Before you were born." Lucy laughed it off, but her hands shook all evening. At home, she confronted Thomas gently. "Have you ever been married before?" He looked at her for a long moment. "Yes." Her chest tightened. "What happened to her?" "She lived a full life," he said softly. "And you?" "I stayed." Lucy swallowed. "Why?" Thomas reached for her hand, his touch warm and familiar. "Because some promises don't end when time does." That night, Lucy dreamed of empty hallways and ticking clocks with no hands. She woke up crying, whispering his name. Thomas held her until morning. "I would never hurt you," he said firmly. "Not ever." Lucy believed him, but belief was no longer the same as understanding. By then, Lucy knew one thing for sure: her husband was not hiding an affair, he was hiding a history. And whatever Thomas truly was, the truth was getting closer, whether either of them was ready or not. The truth did not arrive loudly. It came quietly, like everything else Thomas did. One evening, the power went out across the city. No lights. No internet. No alarms. The house fell into complete silence. Lucy stood by the window, watching the dark skyline, when she noticed something strange. Thomas was not affected. He moved easily through the darkness, steady and calm, as if he could see without light. He found candles without searching, lit them smoothly, and placed them around the room. "You're not bothered?" Lucy asked. He smiled faintly. "Darkness and I are old friends." The words sent a chill through her. Later that night, Lucy woke suddenly. The bed beside her was empty. She followed a soft glow down the hallway and stopped at the study. Thomas stood in front of a large mirror. Not looking at his reflection, but at something behind it. "Thomas?" she whispered. He turned slowly. For a moment, Lucy thought she was imagining things. The room felt heavier, colder. The mirror behind him reflected the room. But not him, her breath caught. "I didn't want you to find out like this," Thomas said gently. Lucy backed away. "What are you?" He stepped closer, careful not to frighten her. "I am what remains when a man refuses to leave." Her knees weakened. "You're dead." "Yes," he said. "And no," he explained quietly. How he died many years ago protecting something he loved. How wealth came easily after time gave him patience, patience gave him power. How he stayed because he promised himself he would never disappear again. I never meant to deceive you, he said. I loved you the only way I still could. Tears streamed down Lucy's face. Was any of it real? All of it, Thomas replied. Except my ending. The house grew colder. The candles flickered. I can't stay anymore, he said softly. You've seen me. The promise is complete. Lucy reached for him. This time, her hands passed through empty air. Thank you, his voice echoed, fading. For loving me while I was still here. By morning, the house felt lighter. The money remained. The life remained, but Thomas was gone. Lucy never remarried. Some love stories don't end, they simply stop haunting you. Moral lessons. This reminds us that love and trust can sometimes blind us to the truth. While it's important to believe in those we love, it's also essential to question what doesn't feel right. Real love is built on honesty and openness, not mystery or silence. Sometimes, the truth, though difficult, is what sets us free. In relationships, transparency is key. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this haunting story of love, mystery, and secrets. If this story touched you, like and subscribe for more amazing stories. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time for another gripping tale. Until then, stay curious and seek the truth.